What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with another video in my Warframe starter guide series. Today we're going to be talking about weapon damage in Warframe and how you can become more effective at killing enemies more quickly using different status types, different elemental damages, and just having a basic understanding of the certain types of damage that there are in Warframe. So I've got my Nyx Warframe here. I unlocked her after playing a couple different missions. I've got a max rank Tiburon, which is a weapon I bought a blueprint from the store for credits and built and then supercharged this. And then I've got the Sicarus, which is a sidearm you can get from the store for credits. And I've also got the Skana, which I picked up in the tutorial mission, which is a pretty basic weapon here. So these are going to serve a good purpose of showing you guys some of the basic statistics that you have when you're dealing with your weapons in the game. You're going to see on the right-hand side, there's a little chart there that tells you some basic statistics. You've got slash, puncture, and impact. It tells you a little bit about the weapon. It's a burst weapon. It has a 2.5% status chance, 2.3 second reload time, 30 round magazine, critical multiplier, critical chance, and accuracy. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be playing around with some modifications to kind of get our weapon damage a little bit better. But I also wanted to tell you guys, when you're looking for certain weapons, whether it's in the store or just in general that you have in your arsenal, you're going to want to pay attention to some of those numbers. So you look just at the Bratton versus the Tiburon, its base numbers. You have a much lower slash, puncture, and impact number, but you have a little bit of a higher status chance. You also have a faster reload time, a bigger magazine, and a higher critical chance. So when you're going through these weapons, that's something you definitely want to pay attention to. Like, look at the Cernos, you have 180 impact on that. That's pretty crazy. And also a 10% status chance. The Rubico, which is more of a sniper rifle, you've got 160 impact, 30 puncture. And this is just going to kind of tell you, comparing the weapons side by side. You look at your Heck, you've got a 341.3 puncture rating, 105 slash, and 78 impact. So you can see how much it changes between the different weapons. You go down to the Grakata, you only got a 2.9 for slash, 3.7 for puncture, 4.4 for impact, but your status chance goes up to 20%, and you've got a higher fire rate, a higher critical chance. So you have to pay attention to these things when you're picking a weapon for your playstyle, something you really want to pay attention to, because the impact, slash, and puncture are your basic physical damage types. Those are going to kind of affect what you can do against certain enemies. So I'm going to grab my Tiburon here and equip that again. You can see also on the Sicarus, you've got the same thing, slash, puncture, impact, status chance, all that good stuff there. Same thing even on your melee weapons. So let's go into the Tiburon. We're going to hit upgrade here. And you're going to see I don't have any mods equipped at all. Now, just a quick kind of overview for you guys. When you are going up against the different enemy types, some of those base weapon stats are going to do a little bit better than others. For example, when you're going up against the Grineer, puncture damage is going to do a little bit better. Also, viral, radiation, and corrosive damage is going to do pretty good against them as well. Against the Corpus, impact damage is going to help you out a little bit more. Electricity damage, magnetic and viral damage. When you fight against the Infested, you want slash damage, heat, gas, and corrosive damage. Also, when you go into the Void, you're going to fight against what are called Corrupted, which are corrupted versions of the normal enemies. And viral, radiation, and corrosive damage are going to do pretty good against them. Now, you're probably wondering, what am I talking about? I just mentioned impact, puncture, and slash before. Now I'm talking about heat and cold and electricity and all these other things. Well, this is a bit more advanced. This is what we're going to talk about now. It's called elemental damage. There are 4 types of elemental damage. There's heat, cold, electricity, and toxin. And you'll get those on certain mods that drop from the enemies. You'll be able to equip those on your weapons and add an additional category of damage. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. There's also going to be some damage combos you can put together with those elemental damage mods. You have blast damage, which is heat plus cold damage. That's going to do an AoE knockdown effect. You have corrosive damage, which does electric plus toxin. That's going to do an armor, sort of an armor effect. It's going to lower their armor rating. You have a gas damage combo, which is heat plus toxic. That's an AoE poison effect. You have a magnetic damage, which is cold plus electricity, which reduces shields and also adds an extra amount of energy drain. That's why that's so good against the Corpus, because a lot of those guys use shields, so you want that magnetic damage to take them down and also drain their energy. You have radiation damage, which is heat plus electricity. That takes down an enemy's accuracy. And you finally have viral damage, which is cold plus toxic. It reduces an enemy's maximum health. So how do you actually get these combos to go on your weapons? Well, that's going to come through your mods. That's why I said earlier, it's very important you're farming for these mods and modding your weapons and your warframes, so you're making yourself a more effective combatant. So we're going to take a look at some of the mods here. Now, a word on these elemental damage is this is a chance to proc. It's not an actual permanent bonus that's always going to hit on your enemies. It's a status chance, which is going to trigger, figure out whether or not you're going to have that status chance to trigger the effect on the enemy. So you see over there on the left side where it says 2.5% status, you want to also try to increase that number so you're getting a little bit more out of these mods. All right, so let's take a look what we have here. We have all kinds of different mods to put on our weapon here, but we're going to be focusing on those elemental types and also the ones that are going to add us a little bit more impact, puncture, and slash. So I'm going to show you guys some basic things here. So you can see I've got a piercing hit. This is a fairly basic mod you get early on. This adds 5% to puncture damage. So we're going to equip that. And you can see our puncture damage went from 30 to 31.5. I also have rupture, which is 10% to impact. This is also a fairly basic mod you get early on. We'll go ahead and equip that, and it's going to take our impact up to 16.5. See what else we have here. We've got critical chance, which is pretty good. This is also a pretty basic mod you can get early on and fusion. Use fusion on it to make it a little bit better. Let's equip that, and it took our critical chance up to 8.8%. We've got serration, which is a 45% damage mod. This is an across-the-board damage mod, so I'm going to put this up here in the matching polarity slot to cut the cost in half. And you can see that took all of our damage up quite a bit. Our impact went up to 23.9, our puncture went up to 45.7, and our slash went up to 21.8. So we got a really nice weapon going here now that we're putting that on there. Now we also have specific bonuses for certain enemies. We have the Bane of Corpus, which does 5% damage to Corpus. I don't know if that actually shows up in the status screen. It does not. We're going to take that off for now. But if you're going to be playing a lot of Corpus missions or Grineer missions, or even the Infested missions, you'll get mods that will give you more damage against certain enemy factions. So you definitely want to take advantage of those and when you're doing the game. All right, so now we have cryo rounds, we have infected clip, and we have Hellfire. So I actually have 3 elemental damage type mods here. Hellfire is going to do heat damage. Infected clip is going to do toxin damage, and then cryo rounds is going to do cold damage. Unfortunately, I don't have any electricity mods on my primary right now. I have some of my secondary and my melee that we could talk about later on, but I don't have those on here. But we're just going to go through and I'm going to show you guys how these work. So if we take the Hellfire mod and stick it on here, you see we're going to get 26.1 to heat damage. So we have a little bit of an extra damage type now, which is pretty cool. If we go down here, I'm going to take the Hellfire off. We'll put the infected clip on. And now we have 13.1 to toxin damage. Take that off and put our cryo rounds on, and now we have 13.1 to cold damage. Now that's pretty cool because you get that regular, you get your regular damage and you're going to add your elemental damage, but here we can take it one step further, as I was talking about before, those damage combos. Let's take Hellfire, put that in this slot here, and then we're going to take our cryo rounds and put that in this slot here. Now you'll notice that gave me an extra damage category now called Blast. That's basically heat plus cold damage, and it's 39.2. That's going to cause an AoE knockdown effect whenever the status chance triggers. So that's pretty neat. That's going to give us one extra way to, take our enemies out. That's pretty awesome. We can also take off cryo rounds, and we can put infected clip in this slot, and now we have 39.2 gas damage. So gas is pretty neat. It's heat plus toxic, and it does an AoE poison effect when it triggers. So we got all kinds of pretty neat stuff going on here. So let's take Hellfire out of here. We're going to put cryo rounds in. And now we have a viral damage statistic, 26.1. So viral damage is going to reduce an enemy's max health whenever that status chance triggers and make them a little bit easier to kill. So pretty cool. You get a lot of neat stuff you can do with those. Now you do have to kind of prioritize the slots based on how you want to do your elemental damage type. And I will put a chart up at the end of the video so you guys can kind of see that there. So let's say if I wanted to do heat plus tox, if I wanted that gas effect instead of the viral effect, I would have to put my Hellfire here, and then my cryo rounds would go over here. So it's basically runs across the top 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 on the bottom. It's going to be a priority based on how you have those mods slotted in terms of what extra elemental damage combo that you get goes there. And then one last thing to talk about here, we do have certain mods that you're going to get that are going to help your status chance. So you can see here we have rifle aptitude. It's a silver mod. It's not really ranked up much yet. But if we put that on there, it's going to take our status chance up a little bit higher. So that will give us, hopefully, we'll have that effect triggering more often with our elemental damage. So just some of the many ways you can make your weapons a lot more effective. And as I said, we've got other mods here also for max ammo and reload speed and things. You want to try to combine those in as well, but when it comes down to it, you want to have a lot of damage being put out by your weapon here. And you can see here we've built a pretty nice little weapon here in terms of impact, puncture, slash. We've got a little bit of heat and viral damage on there as well. And you guys can play around with this depending on the mods you have and come up with your own combinations that work for you. But it's going to be very important, like I said, that there's that damage chart, and I'll put it up at the end here, against the certain different enemy types in terms of how much more damage you can do against them. It's going to help you out quite a bit. You're going to get a lot more mileage out of your weapons and your mods if you are paying attention to what you're putting on your weapons and paying attention to what you're using against the different enemies. Now, one thing I did forget to talk about, I'm going to add on here real quick. We're going to go back into our Tiburon, and this is something that's pretty cool. If you want to set up different weapon types here in terms of the mods you're putting in them and the damage you're doing, up on the top here you do have a config A, config B, and a config C. Now if you go through those, you'll see these two don't have anything in them, and then our first slot's still full of mods. So if you want to take these other two open slots, you can actually configure your weapon the way you want it. So let's say you're going to go fight the Grineer and you're going to be farming Grineer planets all day. You can go on config A and have your setup for Grineer. And then let's say you're going to switch it up one day and go fight the Corpus. You switch over to config B. You can have all your Corpus mods and your elemental damage type for Corpus. Same thing with the Infested or the Void. You can have a configuration set up for each different enemy faction that you're going to face. And that's really helpful. And like I said, it can make you a lot more effective against those different enemies. So definitely something you guys want to pay attention to with regard to your arsenal. You want to be going in there, working on your different damage types, and definitely paying attention to the type of damage you are doing against certain enemies. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this this guide today. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you found this helpful. If you guys have any other tips or anything to add, feel free to do so down below. Let me know how you guys are enjoying Warframe, if you're actually playing the game and having fun with it. And that's going to do it for me, guys. So I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you again next time.